We've got flags and banners, and if you mind your manners, we might even get to standards and what they represent. So just take my voice's hand and we'll both try to understand how this VexHeads logic podcast could be flagged for content. Flagged for content.
What's up, VexHeads, and welcome to episode 75 somehow of Flagged for Content. It's the only podcast that makes you question which Georgia. It's also a Flags for Good podcast, and you can head on over to flagsforgood.com/flagged4content, for like the number. Pick out any flag you like. They're growing every day in choice and popularity. And once you get those all in your cart, you can use code FLAGGED4CONTENT, spelled the same way, with that 4 at checkout. Give yourself a nice 10% bonus and give the show a little bit of a, let's call it a bonus as well. Not a whole lot else to get into this week. I did want to mention that Evan is a returning guest, and part of the reason for that is because he has been on our link tree. If you go to the link tree, which is linktree.com/flagged4content, all spelled out, there are a ton of links on there, including stuff that I don't even talk about on the show. But there's also a guest submission form where you can put in yourself. You can suggest another guest. Obviously, you'll have to reach out to them, but you get it. Anyone you would like to see on the show, or if you would like to be on the show, that's a good place to start. That's where Evan started. And man, this episode is amazing. Yeah, I think the only other thing I had on my list to mention was that if you are interested in more Anglo-Quebec proposals, go on Reddit, go elsewhere, find them, because we are only going to get to a few on this episode, obviously. I think we got to the most popular ones, but there are so many out there that we didn't get to. Dig through them on your own. There's a lot of interesting stuff out there. Anyway, all that aside, I would love to quit doing this intro and go ahead and get into the episode with myself and with Evan Stewart. And let's just do that now. Here we go. VexHeads, we've got a returning hero to the show this week. You know him as the Discord's top Maryland flag supporter. You know him from claiming expertise after scanning one wiki. And you know his inability to maintain a simple flag Instagram. It's Evan Stewart!
Yeah, I tried to list my 3 best properties there, best qualities. So I feel, I feel pretty good about that intro.
Yeah, right. Goes hard for a flag, claims expertise, and yeah.
Is busy? Like I'm busy. I got a lot going on. So
yeah, no, I feel it. Honestly, yeah. These three things, if you changed a word or two, would also describe myself. So
fair.
Yeah, speaking of stuff going on, what's life been thrown at you recently?
Yeah, no, since the last time, when was that? Like 18 months ago. I think I mentioned then we were moving. I've since moved, so my backdrop is a different ceiling in a different office.
Yeah.
And yeah, my wife and I was there, but I did nothing. My wife gave birth to our second child a little over a year ago, so now I have 2 small terrorists running around my house and controlling my life. So, that's been basically, other than that, just, man, same old. It's one of those, just getting to the age where just life seems to be all rhythm and whatnot, and which is weirdly comforting while also a little depressing.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Yeah, I was gonna ask, how have you been keeping up at all with the Row House Vexillology project? I know that's the Instagram from the intro, but
so kind of. There was, we moved and I got a flagpole bracket up on the door, and then we had a big windstorm last May that ripped it off. And then I think I talked in the Discord about trying to figure out some solutions, and I did get it replaced. It took me way too long because that is how long everything takes these days. And then I realized that I was not changing like the flag as often as I would like, and I was like almost like dreading the like, okay, what blurb do I have to do for this flag and blah blah. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna just kind of sunset for now the Instagram and the blue sky.
Yeah.
I mean, I still fly plenty of weird flags. I think I have Spokane up right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And get comments from neighbors who are like, "What the hell is that?"
Yeah.
So yeah, no. If you're in my very small pocket neighborhood in Baltimore, you will definitely see the flag still up.
Right on. Right on. Good deal. Well, would love to talk more about that, but we've got a lot to cover and not enough time to do it today. So we give the VexHeads a rundown of what's on the flagpole for this one. We've got our usual over and underrated flags. We will mostly be talking about Anglophone communities in Quebec, both their flags and their culture. We're going to touch on some proposed flags for those communities, go over a quiet revolution, and I'm going to drop a bombshell at some point. You'll just have to see. But before we get to any of that, Evan, I like to ask my guests, what's your current favorite flag?
Yeah. So my current favorite flag is the flag of Montgomery County, Maryland. It's a yes, it is that one. Yeah. Which I didn't even realize when I said that how uh, it had fleur de lis on it, like the flag of Quebec.
I
Which
was
is
suspecting that's why you asked for these two, honestly.
no, that was like most things with me. It was just a happy accident because I can't plan for shit.
Hey, I know the feeling. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so Montgomery County, it's a suburban county of Washington D.C., just a little bit south of where I'm at in Baltimore, and it's a banner of arms and a really well done one. It's based off of the arms of the Montgomery family. Shocker. Um, and I don't know. I like the color. I like the symbolism to kind of describe it. I guess it's got four quarters. The upper fly and um, lower hoist are red with like a ring on them, and then the reverse, so the upper hoist and the lower fly, are blue with the fleur de lis on them, and then the vertical divider is it's not straight; it's got a like notched pattern to it, which I actually just realized in kind of like looking a little more into this flag is supposed to represent the borders of a local government, which is a very interesting way to phrase that because I thought it was something like when I read that initially, I was like, oh, is that what part of Montgomery County kind of looks like? And not really. There's only like one border that maybe kind of
Yeah.
looks like that. But I think it's just supposed to represent like, oh, this is a border. This is the idea of a border, as opposed to just the kind of more just straight division that you're used to seeing.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a really good design. I think it's very distinct. There's some stuff in there about Pantone matching to like the U.S. and Maryland flags with the reds and yellows and blues, which I'm not going to comment on because, as we know, the blue in the American flag can be a testy subject.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just talking to somebody earlier today about that. Yeah. The
Yeah,
Wikipedia.
no, they claim that, but sure, whatever. Moving on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's a good flag. It's really good, especially for like a U.S. county, because a lot of county
Oh,
flags
yes.
even worse than a lot of city flags in my experience. They're just such garbage.
Yeah, they're very much afterthoughts
Yeah.
in pretty much all cases, except I mean, yeah, except most of the Maryland ones you've shown me, this one and others. Um, on my end, I am just now realizing why. So, I got married in October of last year, and Evan sent me 3 flags in advance of that. And asked me at the time, like, do you know why? Like, can you guess why I sent you these specific ones? One was Maryland.
Obvious.
Yeah. I was like, okay, Maryland, getting married, sure. This one, I was like, oh, it's because it has the little like rings in the corners. Like they look like engagement rings or wedding rings or whatever. And I think you said no, but then I think we maybe moved on to a different topic. I'm only just now getting that it's because of this like crenellation, like the border thing in the middle. Or at least that's what I assume, because that's on my flag for content flag. Or is there like a third thing?
You're way overthinking it. I sent you the Maryland one just to be shit heel. And then I'm trying to remember there's the third one, Baltimore County or Baltimore City?
County.
Okay, so it's basically the Maryland with the
Calvert with the little
instead of crosslands, it's got a gear in one quarter and a plow in the other, right? That's the one I sent you.
Oh, maybe it's the Baltimore City one. I thought it was the one with it's just the Calvert and it has like a seal in the middle and a shield.
Yeah, that's the city. That's the city one.
The city one. Okay, yeah.
Okay, so truthfully, my logic.
Yeah, I do want to know this now.
Way too much credit. I send you Maryland as like to be a shit heel.
Oh, okay.
Because of you being like, I will never own a Maryland flag. I will never fly a Maryland flag. And I was like, well, fuck you. I can fix at least one of those things.
That's true.
The Baltimore one, I think I sent you just because of, even though I lived in Baltimore County at that time, just because it's kind of like representative of where I live. Like it's basically like the flag of where I live, even though I don't technically live there anymore. And it's not a great flag in my opinion, but it's pretty solid. And there's a lot of local pride around it. Like you do see it a fair amount in the city off of private residences and whatnot. And then I was like, all right, I'm sending him two flags that I don't think he's going to like. So I was like, what's another flag that like I think he will like? And it literally was MoCo, or Montgomery County, sorry, MoCo for short, because I was like, okay, this is a cool flag that I think he'll like. I'm like 99% sure he's never seen it before in his life. So that was the extent of the logic. It was like, all right, I'm going to piss you off with these. I know one for sure, and probably the other one too. So let's hey, you're getting this cool thing as well. So
yeah, okay, all right, I get it. Yeah, I always read very far into that. I was sure that it was going to be the crenellation thing, this like middle border that I had missed.
That is a cool detail though.
It is a cool
put that together.
Kind of shout to the flag for content wherever there's normally one in my background, but whatever. Anyway, so yeah, no, and you were also correct. I do very much like this flag. It's not like, a lot of people like their favorite flags are these like quartering ones, like Maryland, this one. I mean, Quebec that I've got behind me.
Yeah.
I tend to like Scandinavian crosses, but they're not like exclusively. We all like a lot of different things. And yeah, this one did really do it for me as kind of a couple things that I don't always go for. One, a banner of arms, and two, a quartered banner of arms, I guess, like this. But yeah, I do really like it. I like the colors. I'm concerned they don't pop as well on my screen here, so I am going to put it up as a JPEG on the video. But yeah, any other notes on like why this one's your favorite at the moment?
No, it's purely aesthetic. I have
Gotcha.
It's not a county in Maryland, but it's like more suburban DC nonsense.
Gotcha.
So it's like a little bit forgettable in a lot of ways.
Yeah, fair.
Very wealthy though, because it's a DC suburb, and most of the suburbs were.
Yeah, that tracks.
So
all right. Well, let's go ahead and get into over and underrated then. I'm going to pull them up, so feel free to start with whichever one you like.
Yeah, so I will start with underrated, just because it's the cooler flag. So it's the flag of, and I'm going to butcher this pronunciation, but I literally have the key up right now, so I will hopefully not be too bad. Antananarivo, which is the capital of Madagascar. And I actually discovered this flag in Flagall when they have the like bonus round where it's select the flag for the capital. Yeah. I saw it once and I was like, that's a badass flag. When it gives you the answer, I was like, Googled and looked it up, and then it added it to, I actually maintain a like flag wish list, which isn't really a wish list. It's more just like, these are cool flags that maybe I would buy someday, maybe not. So I put it on there and then promptly forgot about it. And then a few weeks or a month later, it was on another Flagall, and I saw it again. I was like, that's a badass. I had the exact same reaction, like, that's a badass flag, and went and looked it up and got all the way to like putting it on my like wish list before realizing it was already there. And I literally done this exact same song and dance before, but
Yep,
in
been there.
apparently what is a theme of today.
I was gonna say you have a type.
Yeah, today at least, right?
Yeah.
It is a quartered banner of arms, and even more so, two of the quarters have fleur-de-lis in them. But yeah, so the basic description is the upper hoist and the lower fly are yellow background with a black and white bull's head on it. That is a specific breed, which I looked up and I can't remember the name of, but it's one of those like Indian and African cow breeds that has the big hump behind it. I fell down a nice little rabbit hole for about 45 minutes going into like different types of cattle breeds and all that kind of
Zebu?
stuff. Yes, that's right, a zebu.
There we go.
It's apparently like a traditional wealth symbol in Madagascar society, right?
Oh wow, yeah.
Normal society, you have more cattle, you're richer.
Uh-huh.
But anyway, the other quarters, the lower hoist and the upper fly are blue with yellow fleur-de-lis on them. The yellow looks to be the same color as the background of the other quarters, but maybe not. Maybe that's just the render that I've seen on my computer. And then there do appear to be some like black borders between the quarters and around the fleur-de-lis. Again, not totally sure how official that is or just the version.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's really cool. I think the color combo is very striking. I really like the design they use for the zebu head, for the cow's head. I think that's very cool. It looks to my very uneducated eye, because I've not read that wiki yet. It looks non-European to me, which I think is cool for a non-European country, right? Like this looks maybe a little East African or something. Or at least, like I said, like it doesn't look like a heraldic bull's head you'd see in European heraldry to my untrained eye. And I just think it works. I think it looks really cool. And I mean, it's really simple. And I actually prefer the bull's head on the flag to the one on the coat of arms.
Okay, I was just going to bring that up
beforehand. Yeah, I'll drop that in the chat for you, which doesn't have, like, first of all, it's blue, not like the black and white. And it looks much more European, like traditional European heraldry to me, but it also doesn't have a second color to contrast. So the contrasting color to the blue bull's head is the yellow background, which like doesn't work as well for me. I don't know. It doesn't pop in the same way as the flag does.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh man, I'm going back and forth between which one I like better. I kind of do like the stylized bulls on the COA, but I agree with you fully on the colors thing too.
Yeah, that colors thing doesn't really work for me.
I'm concerned the white part of it may fade into the yellow, but that's like pretty minimal as far as one, things I care about, and two, like just the total area of it, generally speaking. But yeah, I had the same thing as you, because like, well, for those who are not in the Discord, which one you should be, two, we have a whole like flag games channel in there. Usually it's just Flaggle, the one with 1G, because there's Flaggle with 2Gs as well, but they're all great games. But normally it tends to be that one. And yeah, it'll ask you, okay, once you guess the country's flag or territory, then guess the capital flag. And like Evan said, yeah, it'll give you just a few jumbled other wrong answers too. And yeah, I think this was the wrong answer like twice, at least twice in a week or something. And yeah, this one, and there was one other one that both you and I noticed. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it was somewhere on the Arabian Peninsula. We were like, the colors on this really pop. But yeah, this one and that one.
Oh no, it was the Qatari capital.
Oh, the Qatari one. Yeah.
Yeah,
that one too. But yeah, this one stood out to both of us individually, which I thought was pretty telling as far as especially underrated, which is what we're talking about here. Yeah, this one is maybe not even rated because not enough people know about it. But yeah, I mean,
it's a country that like most people don't ever think about. Like even when you're thinking about African countries, never Madagascar, right?
Well, yeah, like And well, depending on how much you played Risk in your childhood.
Well, sure.
But I was gonna say also, like, if as a like VexHead, if you're thinking about Madagascar, you may like stop at the national flag because it's just not good or
It's very
intriguing, really.
good.
There's been so many contests to
Yeah.
redesign it. You may get to that one and just assume like, well, if the top level flag is that, I can't imagine any of the lower level subdivision ones are any good. And you'd be wrong in this case. Yeah, fully agree with you. And like you said, it fits the theme of today too. So
Yeah, the unexpected theme, which just goes back to my my lack of ability to plan things out or figure things out ahead of time and just
oh
fall in.
yeah. No, mine too. Although let's go ahead and plan to go into the overrated flag
Yeah.
about now.
So yeah,
Good plan.
I went with Ohio for two main reasons. Although one,
Getting straight into
I'm not sure if it's actually factually true. But so anyway,
it.
well, anyway, it'll make sense. I find the design kind of busy. Like, I don't know, the I don't know what it is about that flag versus like a similar flag like Puerto Rico or Cuba, but like I just find it to way more busy and just not as attractive. And that's even kind of before you get to like the swallowtail thing, um, the like non-rectangular aspect of it, right? Which is another reason I don't really like it, because that increased the manufacturing costs. So
Yeah.
I have a theory which people have refuted in Discord, and sure, fine. I have not spent much time in Ohio, so
Yeah,
I
I
don't
saw that
claim to
conversation.
be an expert, right? Even if I have read the wiki, um, that because of the non-rectangular shape, which means it's more expensive to manufacture, like that's just a fact. You would see it flown less frequently off of, well, really anything, but especially private residences and private businesses,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Places where you see like the Texas flag or the Maryland flag or the Colorado flag, similarly highly rated state flags, that you see a lot in those situations. I've been told I'm wrong, which fair. I've only spent probably a grand total of like 10 days in Ohio, mostly between Dayton and Cleveland.
Lucky.
And a lot of that, especially in Cleveland, I was like downtown for like a conference. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't in a part of the city where you would have the opportunity to see that. Um, so yeah, that might just be me projecting, and who knows what the hell I'm talking about. But I don't know, man. Even if you probably made it like rectangular, like kind of like straighten those top and bottom lines out, and got rid of the triangle out, and made it like a rectangular version. I think the design to me would just still be really busy. I think it mostly has to do with how many stars and whatnot they like pack in that triangle, and then you have that like roundel symbol in there as well. Um, so it ends up to me just looking like, I mean, kind of like a really busy like Puerto Rico in some ways.
Okay. So many things I want to mention there. But yeah, the Puerto Rico one for sure. I'm on the wiki page since, we're wiki experts. And
Mm-hmm.
if you look down, there's a rectangular one. Sorry, trying to get back to where it says there's a rectangular one in front of the Benecta Road covered bridge in Ashtabula County. Weirdly, I have been to this exact covered bridge because my dad is from Ashtabula County. I don't remember seeing that flag there, for what it's worth. And the bridge is not super important to the story, but never have I seen it look more like a Puerto Rico flag than in that
Yeah,
picture, even though
I'm
it's like
looking at that picture right now.
kind of
Yeah.
obscured a little bit by just the way that
Yep.
it's flying. But yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I do think it's rich to call for a Marylander to call it busy.
I don't really have any response to that.
um, no, but I mean, point absolutely taken. You're not like that doesn't make you incorrect. I agree with you. I think I've said it before on here. I kind of go back and forth on this one, but I would agree that it is overrated. Um, and because I think for the reason that you touched on, like what we talked about in the Discord is, uh, my dad, like I said, having been
Yep.
from Ohio, I've been up there quite a bit, and I did see the Ohio flag many places, including on private residences, like in town and stuff.
That's fair. That's fair.
So it seems to either not be a deterrent, or they've kind of got some, like, I don't know, maybe if you're an Ohio flag maker, you've just got that as a preset.
Right.
I know there's still going to be some like wasted material and stuff. It's not perfect, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
material. To me, it's the extra labor because you've got four
Yeah.
extra cuts,
Yeah.
right? And then if you're hemming it, that's, I mean, that's, well, now I
It's
want to be
possible that
critical.
not
I don't
all of
know if
them are.
that actually might be less linear. I don't know. I'd have to do the trig to figure that out.
Yeah.
Um, but so actually the hemming cost might be similar enough. So maybe it's not as big a deal as it was in my brain. And maybe this is just like trying to come up with a reason to be like, no, that flag is silly.
Oh wow! Now I didn't realize Wikipedia had a. It's folded in 17 steps. Oh, so you just roll. Okay, this is crazy. If anyone is interested,
folding thing,
yeah, it's like a little GIF.
dude. For a while, because I was a Boy Scout, and one of the things you do in the Boy Scouts in the U.S., or at least that's where I learned it. I don't know how standard it is.
That's,
You're taught how
we
to
did it
fold.
too. If you're going where I think you are, yeah.
Yeah, you're taught how to fold the U.S. flag, and it's that
Yeah.
very particular way that you end up with the triangle, and the triangle is all the blue field with stars. And for a long time, I thought that was just how you folded flags. And
yeah, just in general.
and by a long time, I mean like until adulthood. Which, in defense, like, when the hell am I going to be exposed to that? But I saw like,
yeah,
I think it was some like ceremony at like maybe Arlington National Cemetery or something, where they were taking down and folding flags, and then they folded a non-U.S. one, and they just folded it into a little square, like what would be delivered to you if you ordered it in the mail.
Like something for fresh flags, like they were getting it ready for me on Insta.
100%. You know,
yeah,
exactly what they were doing.
right.
And it like clicked. It was like, oh, I guess that's just a U.S. specific flag thing.
Yeah,
Which makes sense because there's so many rules around the U.S. flag, some of which are deeply silly in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I think this is about a good time to get out of part one, move into commercial, and then part two. So yeah, stick around with us for part two. We'll be talking about all those Anglo-Quebecer flags. I'm going to drop the bombshell at just a random moment so you don't know where to skip to. And yeah, we'll be back with more from Evan Stewart and myself. Catch y'all then.
Cool.
All right, VexHeads, we are back and we've got plenty to talk about in this main part. Yeah, Evan, if you want to give us kind of a breakdown of like who the Anglo-Quebecers are, I mean, we can guess from the name, but give us some type of background on like what this community, where they come from.
Yeah, so my whole most recent fascination with it, because I think I've read, about this population probably 3 or 4 different times. But most recently, it actually came from a Patreon show you did on Franco-Canadian flags. And I remember that the day after that, I listened to that. I was sitting in a very boring meeting at work. Like, I work in marketing, but I'm not a marketer, if that makes sense. I do data science. So when they get the whole marketing team together, I generally struggle to pay attention sometimes.
Fair.
So anyway, it was one of those meetings, 90-minute long corporate meeting on Zoom. And I was just kind of like poking around Franco-Canadian flags, and then like stumbled upon Anglo-Quebecer flags as a kind of natural related thing. And that's where the fascination and the like reaching out, like, oh no, hey, we should talk about this, man. But yeah, so like the Anglo-Quebecer, English-speaking Quebecer population is a minority population within Quebec. From what I understand, it's pretty well established, at least historically. Like, large parts of the population of Montreal to this day are English speaking. Like,
Mhm.
You know, that's their home language, that's their native language, or first language, first official language. There's a bunch of different ways you can kind of, you know,
Yeah.
define those things. But like even Quebec City, which now has like a 90+% population that's francophone, was historically in the 1800s was majority English speaking.
Really?
And yeah, and a lot of it, because I was looking into this, and a lot of it has to do with basically when the UK got that territory
Oh,
after,
okay.
I think it was the French and Indian War, right? The which was like the 7 Years
7 Years
War.
War. Yeah.
Yeah. They import like a lot of English speakers settled there, but also like the kind of like ruling class became a lot of English speakers too, right? The Brits installed their own people as kind of like the ruling class.
Right. Okay.
So what you would even see,
This
like
is
up
ringing
until the
bells.
20th century, Montreal was the economic center of Canada before Toronto. You know, this was like early 20th century.
Yeah.
And a lot of those big offices in Montreal were English speaking offices. They were not French speaking offices because they were like the Canadian headquarters and also the kind of economic domination that the English speaking population held in Quebec.
Yeah.
But there's also other examples, like, so there's an area of Quebec called the Eastern Townships, which sits south of the St. Lawrence River, kind of like that wedge of Canada that sits like directly north of Vermont and New Hampshire and New York, up to kind of the St. Lawrence. It's like kind of a
Yeah.
skinny triangle right there. That was settled predominantly by Americans, actually, but you know, some of them post revolution, right? Some of them were kind of United Empire loyalists that didn't go to like Ontario or Nova Scotia. But also later, there's a group called the New England Planters that moved in, like when America was a country, and so that area has a long history of English speaking population.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, the Montreal, especially the west end of the island, has a really long history that continues to this day of uh, an English speaking, predominantly English speaking population.
Yeah, I forget just how close Montreal is to the US. Although I've been there. I went there on spring break one time, as I'm sure I've mentioned on an episode or two. But yeah, and I know like the borders of Maine, not obviously recently, but like those borders were redrawn several times, or at
Yeah,
least
yeah.
proposed several different ways to kind of I'm guessing figure out some of the, well, quote unquote, figure out some of this population stuff's kind of a fraught topic. But yeah, I forget like exactly what you're talking about, like how much this area truly was like in flux. Um, not just like socio-politically, like with drawn borders, but also just like, you know, culturally, like people
Yeah.
coming from here, going there, etc.
Well, and then one of the really interesting things is that with successive waves of immigration into especially Montreal, but Quebec at large, people would generally, especially like groups of people, would integrate into one of the two language groups. So
Mm,
one of the interesting things is that behind English ancestry, the second most claimed ancestry for um, English speakers on the west of the island of Montreal, which is like one of the hubs,
yeah.
is Italian.
Is what?
Italian.
Oh,
So like because when there were Italians that moved to Montreal, that was the community that they integrated into, was the English speaking one, not the French speaking one. And which is actually something that you can read about in some more recent politics, like the francophone, the more aggressive francophone parties, right? Um,
yeah.
and also that a lot of the First Nations, a lot of the native tribes became English speakers more so than French speakers for just any number of reasons. Like there's whole native communities, especially in the north of Quebec, where knowledge of French is pretty low, and like they're
Yeah.
actually knowledge of English is, you know, higher. And there's a whole thing about like access to services and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
but it's interesting that it's not like this community as it exists now is just like the descendants of English and Scottish and Irish, kind of what you would think, but it's also
Right.
the natives and some other British immigrants who have integrated into it. Like the majority of Montreal's Jewish population are English speaking, not French speaking.
Yeah, it's always interesting how things like that shake out as far as, because a lot of times it's just kind of like when you get there, like we touched
Right.
on, like, and what the quote unquote prestige language is at the time.
Right.
Like, yeah, like you mentioned access to services. I mean, I'm sure that's ongoing still now, but like even back then, I'm sure it was the same then. If this was like post French and Indian War, like 7 Years War, you said, and so the English are like kind of like,
I mean, there were English speakers there because Montreal was an economic hub,
yeah,
but like that's when the population, like when the Brits got it and post American Revolution were the main,
I guess, yeah.
waves, from my understanding.
I guess what I'm comparing it to in my mind, and I know Acadia and Acadians are different,
Mm-hmm.
although they are also French speakers in
Mm-hmm.
the eastern seaboard of Canada, roughly. It's more precise than that. But I know they went through a few waves of like expulsions where
Right.
the English speaking community was like, no, we're
Fuck
not,
y'all, yeah.
not having you here. Anyone else who comes, even if they are French, they're going to learn English, like you're talking about the Italians did, etc. So yeah, it's always fascinating to me, especially as someone with a BA in linguistics that I hardly ever use, but to kind of, and I'm going to do a little bit more research, maybe for the Patreon even, but into kind of like how there's so many different things at play that decide all
Yeah.
that. It's fascinating. It's usually just
Yeah.
a prestige language, who's in charge right now, what can you offer me by learning this versus what can they offer me by learning that one type
Well,
thing.
I'm like, physically, where do you end up settling as like an immigrant group?
Oh yeah.
Because what do your neighbors speak? Like
Right.
even more so than like economic access and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's just living your day-to-day life. What's the more useful language?
Yep. Okay, so all right, so we've got a decent baseline for the Anglo-Quebecers
Yeah.
in general.
And I guess the only other thing I'll say kind of is it is a shrinking population.
Okay.
So there was in like the 50s and 60s, there was this phenomena in Quebec called the Quiet Revolution, which had a lot to do with the state taking over social services from the Catholic Church, the de-emphasization of the Catholic Church as an important social health, education, that kind of an institution. It also was, I don't know, this is probably not exactly the right way to think about it, but somewhat of like a national awakening for
Oh sure, yeah.
francophone Canadians generally, but especially in Quebec. Like this is where you see the birth of the Parti Québécois, the sovereignist party that has been in and out of power in Quebec on a provincial level since basically then.
That's the Bloc Québécois now?
Or no, the Bloc or the federal party, the Parti Québécois.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they actually, Canada has their provincial and their federal parties are completely separate.
Heard, yeah.
They share a lot of names sometimes, and there are like relationships, but they're not.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's not like they roll up.
I see it now. Yeah.
So yeah, the Parti Québécois is the provincial one. The Bloc is the federal one.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, when the Quiet Revolution happened, and then you have the first Parti Québécois government come in, and one of the things they do is some language laws about the primacy of French. And so because of a lot of that, those important Canadian offices, companies, a lot of them actually moved to Toronto. And also a lot of the English-speaking population left as a result of that. Like if you look at the population demographics over the decades, in 1951, that census, it was almost 14% of the population of Quebec had English as their mother tongue. In 2011, it was 7.5%. even though the number actually, those numbers are very much the same, but population growth.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's quite incredible.
um, and some of those areas, like I mentioned, the Eastern Townships, that was very heavy English speaking, and also Quebec City, that was, majority English speaking. Like historically, but those areas are now majority French speaking.
Right.
So there's been a bit of, demographic collapse might be a bit of a strong way to phrase it, and it's a lot of it has been in response to employment opportunities moving, right? Like if you worked at the Canadian headquarters for a company and it moved to Toronto, you probably moved with it.
Yeah.
But also just a general not agreeing with a lot of the successionist and francophone focused policies of various political parties. So it's now, it's still present. It's still a large minority group, but it's not nearly as large comparatively as it once was. And it's not hard to find kind of a standard op-ed written every year or two about the collapse of the Anglo-Quebec population, right? Like it's kind of standard op-ed stuff for that part of the world from what
Sure. Yeah. So, okay, now that we've got like the background, the foundation here of who they are, let's go into the, as you put it in the notes, these symbols for them. I'll let you go in whatever order. The flag of Montreal, I will say, I think is the only one I know specifically from what we've got here.
Yeah. So in looking into this, first of all, there is no like widely adopted or agreed upon flag or really even symbols for Anglo-Quebecs.
Right, just like writ large, there's not one like there is for Acadians.
Exactly.
Okay,
Like that does not exist.
Right.
So in terms of like symbols that generally get used, it seemed to fall into kind of like three categories. Like the local symbols for where they live. So the flag of Montreal is a good example of that. Canadian symbols. So the flag of Canada, or
anything
those
with
sorts of things.
maple leaves or local, yeah.
Exactly, and British symbols, or like almost colonial era symbols. So one example of that is actually Quebec's old flag. They had a blue ensign, which is much like most colonial blue ensigns. It just has the coat of arms slapped there in the field on the fly side, right? Which has got the coat of arms has at the top 3 fleur-de-lis. In the middle, it's got the English line, and then at the bottom, it has 3 maple leaves, kind of similar to that one proposed Canadian flag design that I'm like 90% sure everyone.
Yeah. Except it's a red ensign or whatever. Yeah.
It's very similar to the Canadian red ensign of the similar era.
Yeah. I see.
Yeah, it's it's the same design, just it's Canada's coat of arms, right?
Pearson, I think.
So those appear to be like symbols that the population, that the community has kind of like gravitated to, in addition to like the coat of arms of Sherbrooke, which was a important town, I believe, in the Eastern Township that had a large Anglo-speaking population. Other heraldic symbols for some of the small cities on the island of Montreal that were English-speaking municipalities before that municipality reorganization, where the city of Montreal basically ate everything on the island.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all well and good, but those aren't, like the Canadian flag is supposed to be a symbol for Canada. The flag of Montreal is supposed to be a symbol for Montreal, a city which I'm pretty sure actually has a majority Francophone population. And like the historical flag of Quebec is an interesting choice, in my opinion, too, not just because it's a blue ensign, and I kind of hate blue ensigns.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, it led to, a lot of conversations in like the usual places you'll see. Reddit proposals, which run the gamut from decent to absolute garbage, and, some like contests that various organizations have run of pseudo-official structure is maybe a good way to say it. I don't know. Of like, hey, like this is a population that's here that exists, very similar to, for example, like Franco-Ontarians right next door, and them having some symbols of their own is not a bad idea.
Yeah. This is where this is where it got interesting when I started to look up the ones that you were sending or just like proposing and everything. I had not seen, and especially after having just done the like you said, the Patreons. It was ended up being a two-parter, although you talked about this just after part one, about those like Franco, kind of the opposite of this, like Franco-Canadian flags, French-speaking people in other parts of Canada, although including Quebec and Acadia writ large. But yeah, I never really, I guess, took into account the opposite of that, because
Sure.
I don't know. Yeah, just it was never really something that came up. But it's which one is it? I'm sorry, I'm stumbling over everything right now. But there's one. I think it is that Franco-Ontarian flag. There's
Yeah.
one that you sent me that's kind of a not like
Yes.
a rebuttal is the exact word they would not want me to use, but like
It's a compliment.
it's a compliment, yeah, to that one. Where was
Yeah.
that? That was like
That,
Anglo.
so
You do
that
it.
was one I sent you, I think, 3 off of Reddit.
Yeah.
And that was one of the Reddit ones. Here, I can drop that
Okay.
specific.
Yeah. I've got it in the. I see it in the Discord.
But, yeah, no, that is my favorite of the 3. So I guess we can. Well, let's start there talking about the flags. But it is basically a compliment, and I think the proposal in the Reddit post, the designer says that, but it's kind of the same design. He's got both the 2-to-1 and 2-to-3. I think I prefer the 2-to-3 ratio rather than the 2-to-1, but the Canadian flag and ratio and whatever, both work. On the hoist side, it's a white field. On the fly, it's a red, divided in equal parts. Again, exactly like the Franco-Ontarian. And then on the white side, on the hoist, is a red rose. He says he used a Tudor rose because of like the connection to the English language. Maybe this is because of my American and vaguely anti-heraldic persuasion, don't see it as a Tudor rose. I see it as a rose. But that is an English symbol to my eyes, so I immediately got what it was going for. And then on the fly side, on the red field, has a white fleur-de-lis. So basically, it's, the Franco-Ontarian one being green and white with another flower, the trillium, although a much more stylized version, and then a fleur-de-lis as well. It kind of instantly to me communicates what it is if you're at all familiar with the Franco-Ontarian flag, which I don't know how much that flag gets used, but I got to imagine that I'm pretty sure it's the 3rd largest French-speaking population behind Quebec and New Brunswick / Acadia. So, like, if you're going to run into a Franco-Canadian flag, it probably is the Franco-Ontarian one, if it's not one of those first 2, right?
Yeah.
And also being geographically right next door, that would lend to some. So no, I think that's the best design out of the ones that I've looked at.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many, but agreed on that. Like I like it more the like 2-to-1, 1-to-2, whatever. I would love to see it next to like an actual printed or your sewn version of this flying next to the Franco-Ontarian one. Because it's such a good whichever principle it is of like be distinct or be related. This is so related, and they're each so distinct from anything else like around them too. Like you can't get them confused for anything. I think it's interesting too. I don't know how interesting, but like the fact that the Franco-Ontario one uses the fleur-de-lis and then the local like Ontario, the trillium, whereas the Anglo-Quebecer one uses the Tudor rose and then the fleur-de-lis. You almost wish there was a more solidly like Quebec symbol or like French Canadian symbol, because the fleur-de-lis being in both like works visually and for historical reasons. But one being the Trillium, one being the Tudor Rose. I get why they did it because it's Anglo, not specific to Ontario. But I don't know. It almost makes me wish there were a more specifically French Canadian symbol they could put on the side instead of the fleur de lis
Like the original,
that accomplished the same thing the Trillium does for Ontario.
right?
Because the
Like the
Trillium
original
is
beaver on the original Montreal coat of arms,
the
maybe
which
like
one?
that beaver. So in the
Oh
first
yeah,
Montreal coat of
yeah.
arms, they didn't have that fleur de lis there. They had a beaver there for the Quebecois population, and
Right, yeah.
it's just now that beaver has become a national symbol.
Hmm.
It's not just a French Canadian. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, because even it, although I don't know, contextually though, in Canada, like the fleur de lis, I
Yeah,
feel like probably given that local context, it's not like a French symbol as in like relating to France or even like the global francophone world.
yeah, true.
I feel like it's a French symbol as in relating to that French speaking population. And even to some extent more towards Quebec. But that might just be because that's the center of, at least population wise, francophone politics, culture. I mean, like yes,
Yeah,
there are French speakers everywhere in the country, and these populations, the Acadians being a good example, that have their own history, that have their own symbols. But like just in terms of influence and size and everything, like it's Quebec, it's the Quebecois,
yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's tough because like I find myself even like disagreeing with myself at times too. And like, yeah, everything that you just said absolutely makes sense. And the more you were saying it, the more I was realizing like also the fleur de lis is a royal French symbol. Like you're not going to see it
Mm-hmm.
on many modern. I mean, they still use it on in France on you'll still see it on buildings, stonework, things like that, whatever. But modern France tries so hard to be the Republic and all this other stuff,
Right,
and like
right.
they kind of like there's not a whole ton of fleur de lis. But obviously when the House of Bourbon, I guess it would have been, yeah, um, colonized Montreal, Quebec, etc., that was probably everywhere. I guess
Yeah,
my only
yeah.
lament is just that it's yeah, no, it's I don't know. Yeah, I'm disagreeing with myself again. I do find it a good, compelling symbol of French Canada in the absence of anything else too. Like you said, the beaver has changed meanings and is
Mm-hmm.
tough. It's easy enough heraldically, like on Montreal's old flag with the saltier. Um, but it's tough. It would be tough on like a very simplified, stylized flag like the Franco Ontario one or this
Mm-hmm.
Anglo I can't
Yeah.
Anglo Quebec. Jesus. Yeah,
You have to,
I
yeah, you
guess
could
it is.
maybe do like something like the Oregon flag, simplified down, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
get one of Christoph's hated silhouettes, right, or something like that. Or
right.
but yeah, I don't know. I personally like the fleur de lis usage of it, just because I do think that in this case, it's a strong symbol for Quebec, and like,
Yeah,
yeah, that symbol has, especially in the Canadian context, changed what it means. You know, it was a royal symbol at one point. It is now not. I wouldn't be surprised if most people who like are most attached to the fleur de lis as an important symbol of them are probably not monarchists. They probably are Republican
yeah,
or
yeah.
some in that sense, right?
Right, yeah.
Um, just if I had to guess, I could be wrong.
No,
Probably am.
I would take
Um,
yeah.
so you know, symbols change meaning and context matters and all that. But like I yeah, I get what you're saying, but I don't know. I think the fleur de lis is a good symbol. It's very distinct,
Yeah, I think
and
I've talked myself around on it.
yeah, when I see it, especially if I'm like looking at Canadian things, it's like, oh, that's French Canada, probably Quebec.
Mhm. Yep. All right. Do we have any other flag proposals or
Yeah,
anything
no,
else
that's
to
kind of what I
draw?
wanted to like spend the bulk of it talking about and looking at. And started with the best one in my opinion. So only nowhere to go but down.
Yeah. So, what do you got next for us?
Yeah. So I guess I'll go to the one that is the only one that I've seen online where someone had actually made it. Like there's a photo of it flying in reality, and it is in the links. It's the lower one on the Flags of the World page. For listeners, what this flag is, it's basically take St. George's cross, put a white fleur-de-lis right in the middle, put red stars in each corner, and then across the middle, but like kind of behind St. George's cross, put a pale blue stripe that basically takes each quarter and divides it in half. So the effect is probably like, I'd say, like you have this wide blue stripe horizontal across the middle that you then put St. George's cross over top of, and then those other little details, the stars and the fleur-de-lis.
Can I take a swing at it?
No, absolutely not. It's not your show.
Okay.
No, of course, go for it.
To me, when I see it, I think it's the shade of blue. But to me, when I see it, I think, okay, take the current flag of Chicago. Now take those 4 stars out of between the 2 blue bars, put them in the corners and make them 5-pointed. Now where they were, just draw red straight through there, bisect that with red like vertically, and put a white fleur-de-lis in the middle of it. I think it's just something about that shade of blue, and I know it's not exactly the Chicago one, but it's lighter.
No, that like baby bluish, Carolina bluish,
and the fact that
bluish.
Yeah, and it's got the red on there too. It just reminds me of the Chicago flag redone, very much redone. Like, but
that makes me like it a little bit more because I'm not a fan of it, and it's one of those flags that just they tried to like put too much symbolism in it.
Yeah,
like from reading the blurb, the red cross represents the Anglophone culture of north, south, east, and west. The central fleur-de-lis represents Quebec. The 4 red stars are the Anglo-Quebec people in all 4 corners of the province. Wait, didn't we just reference that with the cross? Oh, no, these are corners, not the north, south, not the... Yeah, the blue symbolizes the waterway of Quebec. And I've seen somewhere that the white represents the peace between the Anglos and the Francophone pot. Like, to me, it's like, nah, dog, you took the St. George's cross, an English symbol, which kind of makes sense, we got it. Slapped the fleur-de-lis on there for Quebec, cool. And then like blue for waterways, or like it gets busier. Like if you simplified it down, it could work.
Yeah.
I just think it's too busy.
Yeah.
Although I will say, and I'll have to see if I can find this photo again, the actual photo of it flying in real life does look better than the JPEGs I've seen. Yeah, like I do think that actually does look better.
I still can't tell the width of the cross, like compared to the other stripes.
The width of the
St. George's cross.
Are they all the same or close? They've got to be. They look close to the same.
They look close, but yeah.
And then, like, is there black border / fimbriation on the St. George's cross? Looks like maybe, but like, is that a JPEG artifact? Like, who knows?
I do think it's weird to those like 5-pointed mullets, like stars that I don't know, that are kind of like chonkier, for lack of a better word, always remind me of like Yugoslavia. I don't know. I mean, I do know why, but like they remind me of like Yugoslavia and former Yugoslav stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like a weird choice for. Plus, 5-pointed stars don't really scream Anglo. Like they scream more.
I found a Reddit thread about this flag where somebody made the point, which I have no idea about this, but they said like that the star is associated with Republicans in Canada, so like non-monarch, basically. And they made the point like that is not a lot of the Anglo-Quebec population,
right?
And I was like, huh, all right. I mean, I didn't know that, but given that, that kind of makes sense. Like if it's again, like that's local context of the symbols, right? Like
yeah.
If the star means that in Canada, and that's not something that the majority of the population would agree with, Rob, probably don't include it.
Yeah, seems odd that it's on there then.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't like this one. I think, though, ironically, it's one of the better ones of the other proposals that I've seen. The other ones that I
It's better than the
think,
other one on this.
oh yeah, we'll get into
page.
that one.
Okay.
We'll get into that one. But the other ones that are largely acceptable to me were two Reddit posts, which you basically take the flag of Iceland, make
Okay,
it
yeah.
a non-Scandinavian cross, right? Make it like a cross like St. George's. And then in one, they have basically the Quebec fleur-de-lis in the four quarters, and the other one they don't. And I'm like, cool, it's pretty clear what you're getting. I mean, one of them is literally the flag of Quebec, basically defaced with St. George's cross.
Yeah.
Pretty clear symbolically where that comes from, but to me, that really does scream Iceland. And like, so is this like a French-speaking population in Iceland? Is this, because I think, I didn't confirm this, but I think that actually the largest Icelandic population / people of Icelandic descent outside of Iceland is in Canada. Like, I know there was like
That would make
an
sense.
actual colonial project in Canada for Icelandic settlers. So like, this almost looks like a flag for that population, though very, very small because the Icelandic population is very, very small. So,
Yeah.
it's just like, I see where they're going for, and it's like not a bad flag. They are certainly attractive in my opinion,
Yeah.
but this, like, I don't know, the symbolism there I don't love.
It's not a bad flag, but it's bad for this, I think.
Yeah, I think
It's not effectively communicating what it's symbolizing.
Sure. And I mean, it's like anything, like I always say, like, you know, if it may not scream Anglo-Quebecer in the void, but if it gets adopted by that community, gets used for that, is it going to scream Anglo-Quebecer in 20, 30 years? Absolutely it would, right? Like, that's the development of symbols. That's part of it. But if we are starting from almost like zero, which is kind of where it is, these seem to be doing a disservice to having it be really clear off the bat.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good way to put it. And honestly, I think with that very well put statement, let's go ahead and go into another break. We will talk about the other ones that you wanted to talk about. This is just going to be a good time for a break. So yes, when we come back, we will go over the rest of those, the rest of this topic, and I don't know, we'll see if we get to that bombshell I've been talking about. Anyway.
I mean, you keep referencing it so much.
I know, right? Anyway, we'll see y'all then. All right, we are back with that coveted part 3 that I mentioned earlier, and let's just stay stuck into these Anglo-Quebecer proposals. Evan, I will let you pick whichever one you want to get to next.
Yeah, perfect. I think we're kind of going, in my opinion, in like degrading quality. So
Yeah.
the next one down.
Don't know if it was intentional, but I believe you're right.
Yeah. It gets rough, folks. You'll know when we get the bottom.
Yeah.
It's by Ben Koorengevel. I probably butchered that last name, but he actually has it's on Flags of the Wild or Flags of the World, his proposal, but it links through to a little page that it looks like he put together in, I don't know, 2003. So, 20 years ago.
This looks like a 2003 site.
Oh, yeah. It honestly looked like a 1998 site.
I was going to say, yeah, it looks, yeah.
WordPressy as hell. But it basically references kind of exactly where, like, I started of the Franco-Canadian flags, and he's like, hey, why not for this linguistic minority? And then he's got some interesting first drafts that he kind of looked at. A lot of them incorporate exactly what some of the existing symbols, right? Like, they go back to British, they go back to Canadian symbols. First one is literally the flag of Montreal. Swap the blue field, or sorry, swap the white fields for blue. the red cross for white, and then put a maple leaf in the middle, like basically where the tree is on the current flag of Montreal.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he goes through like this devolution of the Quebec flag, where he takes two of the quarters in the Quebec flag and replaces them with red fields with the white maple leaf on it. He's got one where he literally takes the Union Jack and then just slaps fleur-de-lis in the four like corners, like is on the Quebec flag. And then he's got one that takes, this one is a lot, takes the Quebec flag, puts the Union Jack in the canton in that quarter, and then in the opposite, so in the lower fly quarter, he has a red field with a white maple. It's just like, it's like,
that one's doing a lot.
Yeah, it's like the UK colonized Quebec again. Like
yeah.
It's a lot. So then where he ends up is interesting.
I am baffled by where he ends up, because like normally when it's like, okay, this was the process. I started with this, we filtered it through this, we got to that, there were some problems, then we ended up here. This, I'm like, okay, I see the process, and I have no idea how you landed on what you landed on given the process.
Yeah, like, yeah. So it's like, it's a blue field, and then the kind of skewed off to the hoist is a badge that has 4 flowers in it: an English rose, a Scottish thistle, an Irish clover, and then a Welsh lily, I think is what that is. Yeah, a Welsh lily, which, again, if we're representing the major sources of the Anglo-speaking population, that shouldn't be Welsh. That should be an Italian symbol, but whatever. We'll go with it. So, there's a lot of similarity to the Montreal flag, right?
Yeah.
Except they're in like this compass rose cross formation in a white circle, which is kind of interesting. And that would have been okay. But then he has this white stripe that, like, starting in the middle of the fly, goes towards the hoist, maybe a little less than halfway, and then dives down towards the bottom, but at an angle. And it looks like, from the images I've seen, it also starts narrowing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay.
I can't account for why.
Well, the only thing I could think of, so that white line is supposed to be
river?
the St. Lawrence Seaway,
okay,
which does follow that rough shape on a map, and it does get way, way, way wider. Like, by the, it's, St. Lawrence River is not that wide, for example, like Quebec City, but by the time you get out the Gasp, it's huge.
Sure, yeah.
Incredibly wide. So, like, maybe that's what he's going for, but I don't know, man. This one, this is actually, I think, a really good example of, like, there's a good flag in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But, like, this is not it.
Yeah. That like, Ted K's, like, every, I don't know if he likes to use bad flag, but every subpar flag has a great one just trying to get out. Like, yeah, there's something in here. I'm concerned that the great flag that's trying to get out of this already exists and is just the Montreal flag.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is maybe where you were going. Sorry to,
yeah. This is just color shifted Montreal, basically. Yeah. No. That's totally a fair point. And I also think that because of the, like, 2003 quality of the website and graphics, and it not being vector, it looking like bitmap, so like those diagonal lines and like the details on those flowers just totally fall apart.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a bad looking image to begin with.
Yeah.
Of a bad looking design.
Yeah. Sorry, Ben. I mean, I'm sure you've got some good designs out there. I just don't know if this is one of them. But yeah. And also sorry to the viewers, because these images that you see on screen are not going to be very high quality. I don't have anywhere else to pull them from, so it's not like just don't blame me. Don't shoot the messenger. Anyway, as a last brief aside, because we do need to move to the next one, but I think I actually like the, where there's 3 that are horizontally laid out. The one with the, like, UK flag in the top left. You see the ones I'm talking about, right, on the screen?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The 3 that are.
I kind of don't hate the third one where it's like the Quebec flag, but the, like, top fly and bottom hoist are red fields with
Sure,
white maple leaves. I don't know if I like it for this exact reason,
exactly,
but as a
exactly.
general design, I don't hate it.
It's like the Iceland flags kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
as a design,
it's not bad design.
and it goes back to it basically looks like a banner of arms,
Yeah.
a quartered banner of arms, like, you know. So I'm with you. I don't think that one is bad design. It's just like, to me, that almost looks like more if like Quebec and the rest of Canada were like a federal state or something.
Yes. Yeah. That.
It's unified. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
which like, oh God, I'm not going to dwell on that statement because there was two failed constitutional
Yeah. Yeah.
reforms that were all about that in Canada. So anyway,
Yeah.
if they can't figure it out themselves, a washed suburban dad in Maryland certainly ain't going to figure it out.
Fair enough. I couldn't have said it better. Let's move on to these last few, the Y4Y ones, because as you
Yeah.
said, we're kind of circling the drain
The,
here.
so yeah, this is the last group of flags that I ran across, and it was a contest in 2020 run by this organization Y4Y Quebec, which, near as I can tell, is a youth support organization for English speakers, for Anglo-Quebecers. And they ran this flag design contest for the Anglo-Quebec population and had submissions and, kind of the traditional way. In reading some of the coverage, they did a couple of things like that I thought were really interesting. They initially, one of the first things they did, the Y4Y, the organizers, they reached out to a fair number of francophone organizations and were like, hey, what symbols do you think as a francophone we should stay away from? We should use what do you think we should kind of start as? And according to the article I read, the most common thing that those francophone organizations said was like, don't use Canadian symbols.
Fair.
Which completely and totally makes sense, because the minute like they use Canadian symbols, it's saying you're not Canadian to the French speaking population. Which,
right. Yep.
Again, that plays into some long-standing issues between those populations.
Putting
right?
it nicely. Yeah.
And they did have a vexillologist. They said, I forgot the name, and I don't think I'm going to be able to find it quickly, but they did say they consulted with the vexillologist, but from reading the articles, it sounded like it was way, way, way too late in the process. And it was kind of like token, because the results are just bad.
Yeah, I mean, they
Yeah, the three finalists, the three winners.
And here's the thing that both Evan and I said off air too, is these seem like really nice people, really smart people with their hearts and heads in the right place for this and everything. It's just, I don't know how they could end up on these three, but yeah, whatever order you want in brief.
Yeah. Yeah, so these are the three winners or three finalists. I was a little unclear on exactly how, but yeah, so we'll start with the weirdest one, I guess. So there's the white field that has some very small mountain details on the bottom. It has, I don't know what you call that across the very top, like rolls almost, that are like supposed to symbolize maybe wind or cloud.
I thought, yeah, like kind of a wispy cloud type.
Yeah, they kind of remind me of some of the Starry Night details from that picture, like all the swirly stuff in the sky.
That and the Seattle flag, how it has like kind of the swirly. I think maybe it's just because of that color, that like seafoam greenish. Yeah, but definitely. Yeah, I don't know, stylized.
But it's a small detail. Like it's just a small strip across the top.
Or like the Wind Waker.
The mountains are very small at the bottom too. Like, like super easy to crop out accidentally. And then my favorite detail is on both the fly and the hoist are very small black, I think, triangles pointing inward that just are there.
They are. You can't say they're not there.
Yeah, and then
there you.
The piece de resistance, this symbol in the middle that I think maybe best could be described as a vagina with wings.
Yeah, I was gonna go that or Mothman. well, moth lady, maybe.
Oh, I could see
Maybe
some.
moth lady. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
Moth, however moth identified.
Fine
Yeah.
female at birth, right?
Yeah.
It's
Oh God.
I
really.
it's this abstract thing that vaguely looks like a bird, but I think maybe that's like because it's above the mountains too, so it's kind of like an in-flight thing.
I guess. It's also like, it's weirdly like what you haven't mentioned is, well, like everything else on this flag, it's asymmetrical. Like even the mountains at the bottom can't agree.
Oh, yeah.
The clouds can't agree at the top, and then this thing is just.
And it's very colorful. It's got this bird thing has yellow and
Oh yeah, we got
green and purple and blue and green. Maybe another blue, maybe another green. Nope, there's 2 greens in there. I think there's 2 blues. And some segments are like fimbriated or slash outlined. Other segments are not. I mean, honestly, to me, like this is a very interesting piece of abstract art.
Yeah, it's interesting in general.
But it's not a flag.
No.
It's
sorry, y'all. Sorry, Y4Y.
Yeah. So and then
yeah,
that I don't know.
God, man. Yeah, let's hit these next 2.
So then the next one, the field, I think I can only best describe as like a stained glass motif in that you've got mostly geometric blocks of various colors separated by white. There's like an orange, a purple, a blue, maroon, black, green, yellow, light blue, orange, green, red. I don't know.
It's, the colors.
Yeah, like 8 or 9 different colors. And then, and it's kind of a little bit of an abstract, like there's no like definitive pattern. It's a little kind of sort of moving from top left to bottom right in general, but not totally.
There's implied movement, just not in any specific direction, it seems like.
That's probably, yeah. And then the main, the charge, I guess, if you will, which is
generous.
A blue fleur-de-lis that basically the bottom is at lower hoist, and then it's roughly diagonal, or it is diagonal, but it doesn't align with the top of the fly. It's kind of almost like one of the Seychelles, right? One of like the rays of the Seychelles.
Okay, yeah.
So it's intersecting with the top. Also, it's been like lopped off. It doesn't have like that point. It's got like 3 points at the top, which I think is just a stylistically different fleur-de-lis.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know if that represents anything specific. Like
it reads like the fleur-de-lis doesn't want to be there any more than I want it to. Like,
yeah, no,
it's
and
like trying to just disassociate or something.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's because, and I'm not saying you could pull a great flag out of this necessarily, but you could definitely pull out a better one if you kind of just like made that smaller, made the other things make a little more sense. Like, I don't know, this one's
like if you made like, I think if you made like that stained glass thing into like diagonal rainbowy, almost like disability pride, and then like put the fleur-de-lis over it, probably I'd want that oriented vertically.
Yeah,
that could maybe work.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe
it would be an improvement.
Let's go to the middle one, so we have time for the bombshell and the outro.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I do have a hard time here. And the best one of the 3 is a field, green on the bottom, blue on top. Hey, I wonder where they got that. There's a curve to it, like a curved horizon kind of thing. And then in the middle, there's on the right, so kind of skewing towards the fly, is a tree. It looks like a pine tree, some sort of coniferous. And then to the left, in roughly the shape of a C, but I don't think that's intentionally supposed to be that letter, just kind of an arc that's facing fly, are a bunch of flowers and some leaves. And this one's not bad. Honestly, my main complaints about this one has to do with like level of detail. Like on both the flowers and the tree, there's this, which are both white. There's like yellow details and shading.
Yeah.
Which just like get rid of that off the bat.
Yeah. Or just make
maybe
them all yellow instead of white, but don't do both.
Oh, yeah, we'll make them all yellow. Yeah, that's fine. The flowers, some of them look maybe a little complex, but if you look at them as like, hey, is that a thistle? Is that a rose? Are we kind of going back to like the heraldic Montreal flag thing? Maybe, certainly not as obvious.
It took me a second. Right, I do see the individual flowers, like the thistle, shamrock, rose. Yeah. But the fact that it took me a sec is not a ringing endorsement.
No, 100%. And like, there's definitely other flowers on there that to me read as just, hey, here's a flower.
Yeah.
Yeah, like not a so it's definitely the best of the three. And I think honestly, like you clean up that shading thing, the shades of the blue and the green are maybe a little like muted in my opinion. I don't know, they just read wrong for a flag to my eye, if that makes sense.
And also, this is just the Franco-Tenois flag, right? I mean, this is the Franco-Tenois flag.
Yeah.
But instead of the fleur-de-lis snowflake, there's a pine tree, and instead of the penis bear, there's this flower thing. Like it really, I'll put them both up on the screen at the same time. But like to me, that's what it is shouting out or like going toward. Which again, like, you know, be distinct, be related, all that. Okay, so yeah, that's a flag for the French-speaking community there. I get why you could take that, invert it. I don't know if this is how I would invert it, but and then kind of play off of it. I get that, but I mean, like you said, it is the best of the three. So it probably owes a bit of that to being what I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if it's not based somewhat off the Franco-Tenois flag. And I think that might be where
a good call. I didn't see that, but I think you're right, actually.
It took me a second too. I was like, honestly, it took me focusing on that weird like curvature of the green field at the bottom to be like, I know I've seen that before, and I've seen a symbol to the right and left of it. Where did I? Right, the penis bear. Who's even kind of doing the same angle with his body as that.
The kind of like
flower
C-ish letter. Yeah. So, that. Yeah. I'm not going to say that was a failed project, but I don't think the results are great.
Let's call it ongoing.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks for bringing all these to my attention. I think I had seen maybe one of them tops. And even then I'm trying to go back through. Actually, I may not have seen any of these now that I think about it, probably just from our correspondence. Oh, no. Okay. I think I had seen the one that looks like Iceland, but centered and with the fleur-de-lis. I had not seen the one without them.
Right. The Quebec defaced with St. George.
I think I had seen it years ago and been like, okay, and just never thought about it again or something.
Yeah, because like that's a flag. It's fine. It's good. Whatever.
But what's your
I read the like French-speaking population of Iceland? But.
So do we have a favorite that we can decide on? Is it that first one for you? Or?
I think my favorite is that first one, the red, rose, white fleur-de-lis.
Okay, and do you like it in 2 to 3?
I think I do like it in 2 to 3. I don't love the 2 to 1 nature of the Franco-Ontarian flag.
Okay, yeah.
I think it's because the two segments are perfect squares in that point, and that to me looks to my eye like it's two flags.
Okay, yeah, I could see that.
It's kind of a weird thing to say because most flags aren't squares, but I don't know. I think I don't love that 2 to 1 ratio being bisected vertically like that.
Fair enough. Well, not just so that we have different favorites, but I am going to pick the second favorite, but in a 2 to 1 ratio. So that technically we have different favorites. And also, I fully hear all of your gripes about that and don't disagree with all of them. But for some reason, I don't know why, I kind of like it in the 2 to 1. And I'll leave it at that because, Evan, are you ready for the bombshell that I've been teasing for the last, I don't know, hour and a half?
Will be fully ready, so let's just do it.
Dude, this one is, so I wanted to have you specifically on this episode.
Okay, that's a lie, but anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I've never wanted to have you on an episode. You just keep popping up with these requests and all this shit.
I know.
Outside of that, the bombshell, the reason that I wanted you on here was to tell you that I think I kind of like the
No
Maryland
shit.
flag now. I think I kind of get it. This is the one that you sent me, along with the Moco and then the Baltimore ones. And I did it for fresh flags. And I think I even made the comment when I posted the answer, like, well, all right, I want to get this one off my porch as fast as possible, blah, blah, blah. But the more I looked at it flying, the more I was like, fuck, I get it. I get it now. I don't know. It's not going to be maybe my number one favorite or anything like that.
That's how it starts, though.
And this is like my own, you know, I say this on the show all the time. You need to see a flag flying, not just as a JPEG on a screen or a logo, you're part of a logo, whatever. You need to see it flying. And I've seen the Maryland flag flying on TV. I've watched Ravens games or, you know, whatever. But I've never seen it flying from my back porch surrounded by objectively inferior flags. And for all of that, I will apologize to you here publicly. You have to promise not to mention this in the Discord until the episode comes out, but that should be soon.
My lips are sealed.
That should be very soon. I'm going to try and have a quick turnaround on this one since I'm away for the weekend. But I just thought having you on the episode and having had that realization a few days ago, kind of kismet right there. Yeah, I owe you an apology. It's not my favorite, but I get it. And it is I'll even say, a good flag. Fuck, is it a great flag? You know what? Yes, it is a great flag.
So now you need to redo your state tier ranking that I'm sure you've done.
I have to redo my state tier ranking. I have to redo like so many intros to this show. I'm talking about because people bring it in as overrated.
You know what? It's a journey. It's a process. It's okay. We welcome you here on the side of right and truth and justice. And it's okay that it took you a while to get here, but better late than never.
Oh, man. Honestly, if I hadn't told you to probably come up with a separate outro, we could just use that. But thank you. I do appreciate you welcoming me into the community and everything.
We're very welcoming. It's, you know, it's a large community and we have crabs. Not the STD, the food, although some of us probably have the STD as well. Let's just be.
Oh my God. All right. I don't know where else to go from there. I think it's good to end on a crabs joke.
I need to go to a meeting.
You have to go to a meeting. Yes. Like right now. Do you have any way to walk us out of this, or should we just end on the crabs joke?
I mean, I think I'll just say that you all need to be more like Andy and realize that the Maryland flag does in fact rule.
Oh, much as I hate ending on that, we're gonna. And we'll see y'all next time. Catch you on the fly side. Thanks.
Have a good one.
Flag for Content is proud to be sponsored by Flags for Good. Go to flagsforgood.com for more information. Flag for Content is hosted, produced, edited, occasionally written, and always nitpicked over by me, Andy Richardson. Catch y'all on the fly side, VexHeads.